Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're facing our fears and surviving living nightmares as we once again board the Ishimura and track down the 10 biggest differences between the original and the remake of this horror classic. For this list, we'll be looking at the numerous changes and many modern quality of life improvements EA Motive made to Isaac Clarke's adventure, aside from the obvious graphical facelift that's sure to give a whole new generation night terrors. There will be spoilers ahead for both the 2008 original and remake. What was your favorite improvement made in the Dead Space remake? Are you also hoping for a remake of Dead Space 2 in the future? Save your limbs and scroll a message down in the comments. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. One shot, one opportunity.
Run!
Much like the recent revival of the God of War series with God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, EA Motive made the most out of the next generation's advancements in power and tech to not only reduce loading times, but to eliminate them entirely. The choice to have the game take place in one continuous shot with no cuts only amplifies the immersion and pressure of surviving this waking nightmare of inhuman monstrosities. Couple this with the fact that most of the cinematics and expository sections take place during gameplay, and gamers are never given a moment to relax as the tension is never broken or interrupted by a loading screen. Unless you die, of course, which will happen a lot. Peeled perfection. Before release, much had been said about the new peeling system for the necromorphs, in which instead of simply slicing off a limb, Isaac's shots would tear and peel the flesh and muscle from the bone until there was nothing left. While the original was praised for its strategic approach to dismemberment instead of outright carnage, the peeling system adds so many additional layers to the remake's combat, pun fully intended. It truly is one thing to read about or see it in trailers, but to experience it firsthand is something else entirely. With ammo already a coveted commodity, now unless your arsenal is significantly upgraded, you could run out of rounds before a single leg has even been detached. To compensate for this, various new environmental hazards can be found sprinkled throughout the environment, meaning the player is never without the means for their own survival. They're in the walls!
The only way is hacking them apart. Those arms.
Did that even kill them? Or did they just not move?
The original Dead Space was awash in creaking pipes and unsettling screeches of the undead hunting Isaac Clarke, but in the remake, this is amped up to 11. EA Motive made sure to make the most out of this generation's advancements in 3D audio, and the results speak for themselves, literally. In many cases, you'll hear the necromorphs skittering through the ducts long before you see them, and Isaac's ever-increasing heart rate as the situation intensifies is matched only by the players doing the same. In some instances, it's the game's use of 3D audio that might be the difference between life and death, as some of the necromorphs have a nasty habit of flanking the player when they least expect it, and it's only by hearing the sounds of their tendrils scraping the metal grating that you know they're behind you. Arms dealer. In the world of Dead Space, weapons are rare, so Isaac needs to make use of many engineering tools and adapt them for things other than their intended purpose. However, in the 2008 Dead Space, outside of the plasma cutter, Isaac needed to purchase the majority of his weapons from the shop, and while this was a common system at the time, many players found themselves wasting their hard-earned credits on weapons they didn't use because they had no way to test them before purchase. Thankfully, in the remake, Isaac comes across his arsenal much more organically by finding his impromptu weapons within the environment during normal exploration. While minor, this change allows players to adapt their own playstyles without wasting their precious credits on weapons they never end up using. The weapons themselves have also been substantially upgraded and completely redesigned with all new alternate fire modes for additional peeling. Puzzling sacrifices. Although Dead Space takes many of its inspirations from the Resident Evil series, one aspect that didn't translate well to the Ishimura was the use of overly complicated Resident Evil puzzles. While the original Dead Space wasn't without the odd head-scratcher here and there, the remake adds additional puzzles to certain aspects of the ship that fit in a bit more organically than rotating statues and puzzle pieces. On occasion, the player will need to reroute power to different areas of the ship, while sacrificing power to others. This can oftentimes lead to extremely tense moments when rerouting the power results in all the lights being cut off and the only illumination in the room coming from Isaac's weapon. It's a great way to keep the anxiety high while also leaving many of the puzzle decisions squarely in the hands of the player's choices.
Isaac, I've tracked down your rig. You're in engineering, right? I'll get myself admin privileges. Maybe I can help.
Active, not reactive.
If I give the cannons enough targeting data, it'll recalibrate the system. You got a better idea?
Christ. I'll open exterior access. I hope you know what you're doing.
The silent protagonist's purpose is to be the avatar for the player within the world, and because of this, oftentimes developers will make them silent to further immerse the player in the world. However, in a game like Dead Space, your character having nothing to say about the ungodly horrors unfolding around them is a little jarring. Thankfully, EA Motive not only gave Isaac a voice, but they also gave him his voice, with OG Isaac Clarke voice actor Gunnar Wright reprising his role. Now in the Dead Space remake, not only does Isaac comment on the chaos of the Ishimura, but he'll also take charge of certain situations, utilizing his vast engineering knowledge or be more resistant to his companions' demands instead of simply acting as their gopher.
Isaac, what's your status? Do you have the captain's rig?
Me. Transmitting codes now.
Doctor's notes.
Isaac, make us whole.
The main driving force compelling Isaac to explore the Ishimura is to find his girlfriend Nicole after losing contact with her during her time aboard the mining vessel. In the original Dead Space, Nicole became more of a background motivator after her brief introduction during the opening moments, which didn't give the ending the gravitas the developers might have been aiming for. In the remake, however, EA Motive not only expanded on Isaac and Nicole's relationship and provided further backstory, but Isaac will also periodically be given side missions to flesh out Nicole's time on the Ishimura and why she and Isaac had been apart as well as what brought them together to begin with. This additional content makes the gut punch of an ending much more heartbreaking, along with further fracturing Isaac's already clearly unstable psyche.
Isaac, it's me. I wish I could talk to you.
She wanted to talk. I didn't.
Sorry.
I can make it right.
I'm sorry.
I can save us both.
Marker motivations.
My mother, she's
Octavia? How's she doing?
she's dead, Nicole. They both are.
As if the necromorphs weren't bad enough, the world of Dead Space also has its own creepy cult that worships the things. By the end of the 2008 original, the Church of Unitology was found to be the main driving force behind the events of the Ishimura, and their obsession with the marker drove the inhabitants insane while mutating others. While this was mostly unfolding in the background in 2008, in the remake, the Church's presence is felt throughout the ship, and Isaac's ties to the cult are far deeper than ever before. Isaac's hatred for the Church of Unitology is now tied directly to his parents and his mother's obsession with the cult. And it's this shared history that not only introduced him to Nicole, but also divided them, and gives Isaac more insight than some of his other crewmates as to the Church's motivations.
It doesn't matter. She can't escape her fate. But who can?
Shooting gallery.
Keep an eye on the hall's integrity. Too many of those things get by, and we're dead. I think I've almost got the system repaired. Just buy me a little more time.
Arguably one of the most contentious and out-of-place sections of the original Dead Space was the Asteroid Defense chapter. Not only was the section tonally divergent from the rest of the game, but the segment was also poorly designed, and the asteroids could easily overwhelm the player, causing them to fail the mission or tone down the difficulty just to get past it. In the remake, EA Motive has removed this divisive section entirely, replacing it with a much more immersive and honestly far more harrowing spacewalk that puts Isaac directly in the asteroids' path as he attempts to manually sink the defense turrets. EA Motive also made adjustments to Isaac's zero-G mobility, adapting the free motion traversal of Dead Space 2, allowing Isaac to freely explore zero-G environments and more capably dodge incoming attacks or solve puzzles.
They're back. The ADS cannons are online ship-wide. Thank God. Engaging autopilot. Get yourself inside, Isaac. I think I've figured out our next move.
The nightmare never ends. Along with rebuilding the Ishimura for a more seamless nightmare, developer EA Motive also added content cut from the original 2008 release, as well as added optional side quests for Isaac to complete and learn more about the downfall of the enormous mining vessel. While some of these side missions tie directly into the narrative, such as following Nicole's actions throughout the unfolding chaos, others actually lead directly to an unlockable secret ending. Achieving this ending is going to take a substantial amount of legwork, however, and can only be unlocked after completing the game on New Game Plus. But it's definitely worth it for those looking for an ending arguably more upsetting than the original that not only leads into hopefully a remake of Dead Space 2, but also the possibility for a wholly original sequel from EA Motive.
Are we going home, Isaac? There's so much work to do.
Soon, I promise. Gotta build a little something first.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.